I'm Christine. I still remember the day my sister's perfect wedding turned into a complete nightmare. It was a day that changed everything, not just for her, but for our entire family. The grand ballroom was filled with 300 guests, all dressed in their finest. The air was thick with excitement as the string quartet played, and the bride, my sister Lily, made her way down the aisle on my father's arm. She looked like a princess in her $15,000 hand-sewn lace dress, and my mother was already in tears, gushing about how beautiful she was. I sat in the back row, the 299th guest out of 300, as invisible as ever. Then came the best man's toast. Mark, the best man, stood up and walked to the microphone with a measured pace. His smile was cold, like someone about to expose a dark secret. As he began to speak, the room fell silent. He talked about his friendship with the groom, Jake, and how much he admired his honesty. But then his tone shifted. The room settled into expectant silence, he said. Brandon and I met freshman year of college. He's the most loyal person I know, the most honest. The kind of man who believes everyone deserves the truth, no matter how hard it is to hear. I noticed Lily's hand freeze halfway to her water glass. Something was about to happen, and I could feel the tension in the air. Mark continued, I think Jake deserves the truth always. And then, the massive screen behind the head table flickered to life. At first, I thought it was part of the slideshow, but then the image sharpened. It was the engagement party, and there, in the shadows, were Lily and Jake's younger brother, Ryan, locked in a passionate kiss. Gasps rippled through the crowd like a wave. Champagne glasses shattered on the marble floor. Jake's face turned white as a sheet, and he looked at Lily in disbelief. Tell me it's fake, he whispered. Lily's mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. The ballroom erupted into chaos. Jake lunged across the table at Ryan, and it took 3 groomsmen to hold him back. Lily threw herself between them, mascara streaming down her face, begging for forgiveness. But Jake was done. He announced that he would start annulment proceedings immediately. As the chaos unfolded, I watched my parents' faces. My mother's grip on my father's arm was so tight that her knuckles turned white. She looked at me and grabbed my arms, demanding to know if I'd known about this. I told her I'd suspected, but she scoffed at me, asking why I hadn't warned them. I calmly asked her if she would have believed me if I'd told her. She had no answer. I decided then and there that I was done. I was done being the other daughter, the one who was always overlooked. I gathered my purse and walked towards the exit, stepping over scattered rose petals and broken glass. My mother tried to stop me, but I was firm. I'm done, I said. I'm building my own life. Looking back, it all started a few years ago. My family was wealthy, but my parents' love was unevenly distributed. My mother, a former actress who never made it big, had pinned all her hopes on Lily. Lily was the golden child, with her long blonde hair, blue eyes, and a natural charm that made everyone adore her. She was an influencer with a large following on social media. I, on the other hand, was the quiet one. I had brown hair and brown eyes, and I spent most of my time buried in books. I was dating Tom, a kind-hearted schoolteacher who made me laugh and made me feel like I was someone special. But when I brought Tom to meet my parents, my mother barely gave him a second look. She was too busy talking about Lily's latest brand deals and Jake's family estate. 3 years ago, Lily met Jake at a charity event. His family was old money, and my mother was over the moon when Lily brought him home. From that moment on, every conversation in our house was about Jake, his job, his family, and their future together. When Jake proposed to Lily, my parents were ecstatic. They planned an extravagant wedding with a budget of $85,000. Meanwhile, Tom had proposed to me quietly in our apartment, and I said yes immediately. But when I told my parents about our engagement, my mother laughed it off. Do you really think anyone would come? Lily's wedding is going to be a huge event, she said. The engagement party was held at Jake's family estate. It was a lavish affair, but I felt like a ghost, floating through the crowd. That's when I first noticed Ryan. He was a fitness trainer with a chiseled body and a hungry look in his eyes. I saw him watching Lily across the room, and there was an electric tension between them. A few days later, Mark called me. He said he needed to talk to me about something regarding Lily. We met at a coffee shop, and he told me that he'd seen Lily and Ryan together on multiple occasions. He showed me screenshots of their text messages, which spanned months. He asked for my help to stop the wedding, but I was afraid of the consequences. I told him to do what he had to do, but to leave me out of it. In the weeks leading up to the wedding, I tried to ignore the situation. But the truth had a way of coming out. At the rehearsal dinner, I saw Robert, Jake's uncle, looking at a photo on his camera with a worried expression. He muttered something about some moments not being meant to be captured. Later, Mark messaged me, saying that Robert had seen something and he was trying to get him to talk. 1 week before the wedding, Mark called again. He had all the evidence he needed, a video from the engagement party and the text messages. He asked me if I wanted him to stop the wedding. I was torn. I didn't want to be the one to ruin everything, but I also couldn't let Jake marry a liar. In the end, I told him not to show Jake the evidence directly, but to do what he thought was right. After the wedding fiasco, the fallout was swift. Lily's social media following imploded, and she lost all her brand deals. She moved back into our childhood home, broken and defeated. My parents were in shock, and for the first time, they started to see the truth about Lily. 2 weeks after the wedding, my mother called me. She said she'd been thinking about everything and was sorry for not seeing who Lily really was. But I pressed her on how she'd treated me over the years. She stammered, saying she hadn't meant to hurt me, but I wasn't ready to forgive her just yet. A few months later, Tom and I decided to get married. We planned a small, intimate wedding in Tom's parents' backyard. It was nothing like Lily's grand affair, but it was real. I invited my parents, but I made it clear that they had to come as my parents, not as Lily's parents who just happened to have another daughter. To my surprise, they agreed. On our wedding day, it rained. But it didn't matter. Our friends and family gathered under a rented tent, and we said our vows. My parents were there, and for the first time, I felt like they were really seeing me. Lily sent flowers and a card, and while it wasn't forgiveness, it was a start. Looking back on all that has happened, I've learned that waiting for others to validate you is a waste of time. I'm building a life with people who see me for who I am, and that's worth more than any amount of money or a perfect wedding.